in the shopping center, delicious food. I'm telling you, it is great food. Not only do they have great chicken, but they got great hamburgers. Their French fries pop in your mouth. Ooh. They're really good.
Yeah. You've been bragging about them for a long time, and I finally took the kids, and the kids love it, Mike. I love their decor and their ambiance. Yeah. I know you like that word.
Look how easy. Here we go. Look how, I just want to show the public how easy this is. Just wrap it around your...
Well, I can put it down here on by my... then I can pop it back up, yeah.
And pop it back up. But it is something that is very, very important. Mm-hmm. Now, I noticed that there's one store here in Troy selling them a real nice one for $10.
Wasn't you that had the idea to put the Alabama and Auburn and Troy logos on the surgical mask?
It sure was, man, and especially come football season. I don't know what's going to happen to football. We got Max Howell's going to be calling in this morning, and of course Mike's going to be calling in to Rice. Everybody's concerned about football and whether we'll have football. Let me tell you the most important thing is human life. You know, you hear all this politics stuff, but hey, vote for the guy that's more concerned about human life. Well, it's like 1,000 people or more were died yesterday. I mean, these are mamas and daddies. These are aunts and uncles. These are brothers and sisters of some people that love them very much. Just put yourself in their place. But wouldn't you want to care for your children if they went off to a ball game and it wasn't safe? You know, what's the most important thing? Shut it down. Don't you agree?
No, maybe. I think you can take common sense.
Hopefully by the time they start, we've got some kind of a shot that we can take.
But by completely shutting the economy down, you're creating major health effects right there. So you're saving people, no doubt, by doing the social distancing. But there's also people that are going to become more impoverished, and people that are in poor economic conditions have worse health. I mean, that's just been proven. Look at poor countries. Do people live as long in poor countries?
Yeah, I hate to make this suggestion. We just make more money. Good morning, you're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hi, morning.
I did think down in northwest Florida. What's the weather look like?
Oh, man, the sun's already out. It's like 53 degrees. It's kind of chilly.
53 degrees, man.
It felt wonderful yesterday. I think the high was like 70, and it was breezy and sunny, and just great weather down here right now.
It was one of the prettiest days I can remember yesterday. And Mike, let me tell you what we did, our family. You know, we're going stir crazy in the house, and it's okay to get some exercise if you social distance. Sure. We usually walk in Hillcrest around Flavius Circle, but I loaded the family up in the car, and we went to Troy University, parked right above the amphitheater, walked down to see the Terracotta Warriors, went across, looked at the turtles in the little pond, walked down Janice Hawkins Cultural Trail all the way down to the lagoon. That little area is really
beautiful,
good.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I love the thing. Walked around the lagoon, back in front of Sorrell Chapel, back towards the library, cut behind the library, went up. The kids wanted to see the fountain on the quad.
Yeah.
And then hung out a long time there, and then walked back to our car.
Wasn't that wonderful?
But it was neat to see all the people that were doing the same thing. There were people picnicking, had their blankets on the grass, sunbathing. It was kind of cool.
Well, that's good. Of course,
and it was beautiful. What a beautiful place to take a walk.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is the 14th day of
I think 15th.
The 15th.
We don't know what day of the week is
what day of the week. I know this.
Are you guys both in a studio together? It sounds like.
Yeah, we're sitting right next to each other. In fact, we need to back off a little bit. We're a little bit too close. There we go. Good morning. There's Bird Drugs in the background, and of course, boy, they stay busy, and I asked Joe the other day. I said, Joe, do y'all gonna take any time off? He said, no, we're gonna work.
Yeah, I bet he is.
You know, there are people that count on him, and he's
That's
the guy you can count on.
Yeah, talk about essential businesses. That's one right there.
In fact, he was one of your dad's good friends, and
He's everybody's good friend.
You know, a lot of people drank coffee there in the mornings for a long time.
And you know, he's now helped by Melanie Hawkins. She's an old friend of mine too.
Oh yeah, she really is, and very good at what she does.
Did you see that Robert, Melanie's husband, he was in my class, a good friend of mine. His son is getting ready to join his veterinarian clinic in a couple of months.
Now I didn't know that. I didn't know that his son was going to do
I
that.
see there's a big sign on their little placard out front of their business saying that Douglas Hawkins is joining the practice in May or June.
Hey, wouldn't you think he'll do well?
Oh yes, he shall do well.
No question about it.
Third generation veterinarian, I guess.
Exactly. I'm trying to fix my hair. Somebody pulled my hair this morning, and I'm trying to get it straightened back. I hadn't had a haircut. My wife got a hold of it the other day down at the beach, and she never cut him by his hair. And I said, well, I don't think it'll matter. But think about it. Think about the people, in men and women along, that have not.
Let me show you all this. Well, let's see.
You look great, man. You're starting to get a few gray hairs.
I don't tell anybody.
But Rice, you look good. Rice on football, he's the son of a legend, Bill Rice Sr., and of course Hickey Chapman was his granddaddy.
That's right.
One of them.
Yeah, what a nickname, Hickey Chapman. But his real name was Lewis Hickory, but everybody knew him as Hickey.
Isn't that right? His middle name was Hickory.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What is your middle name?
William James.
Did y'all talk about the big sports news out of Charles Henderson, the former great Maura Davenport?
No, tell me.
I saw it.
She's homesick, and apparently didn't want to play at Rutgers for Vivian Stringer anymore, and they always said that was a crazy decision, in our opinions, to go all the way up to Rutgers and try to play basketball. So now she'll be playing at the University of Georgia.
Oh, no.
So she
I was hoping she'd come to Troy.
Me too.
She is transferred out of Rutgers, and basically, you know, it's basically due to being homesick, is what was reported.
Yeah.
And we'll now play.
Well, Athens, Georgia is still a 5-hour drive or more, 6-hour drive.
We'll now play at Georgia. She chose between Georgia, Louisville, and Mississippi State.
And didn't even look at Troy.
Well, I mean, you know, let's be honest. I mean, she could play anywhere in the country.
Well, we're talking about a Division I-A program that could play for a national championship. You know, if you get the right players. I've always said give Troy 5 good players. They got a chance to win a national championship.
In basketball, you're right. Yeah.
She's going to be playing with the 2020 Alabama Miss Basketball. The top player in the state of Alabama is going to Georgia, and that's Sarah Ashley Barker.
Yeah.
And that's Jay Barker's daughter that plays Spain Park.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Now, that surprised me, too, that she's not going to Alabama, Jay Barker's daughter.
Yeah, Davenport only played in 29 games for the Scarlet Knights and really, you know, had a really, you know, poor season, to say the least.
What did she do?
Only averaged 10 minutes a game, averaged 2.7 points and 2.3 rebounds per game.
Maybe she shouldn't come to Troy.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you know, I mean, you know, one of the top prospects in the country only plays, you know, 10 minutes a game and averages 2.7 points and 2.3 rebounds.
Well, she's a good high school player, has a great ability of, how many block shots she has? That's what she does better than anything, is block shots.
I don't know. It's not even talking about it in the article. It's really talking about more than anything about what happened to her when she, you know, wasn't able to play, and the controversy that went on with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And but she's not at Georgia, and good luck to her there. You know, I mean, we hope.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm for her too. I really am. I mean, she's a sweet girl, and I know her mom and daddy and the granddaddy, and great people.
Mm-hmm. Of course, she was on one state championship team at Charles Henderson. Of course, they won another one this year after she left, which tells you that she played with a lot of great players at Charles Henderson.
Yeah. Was that their second straight state
championship? 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Also, huge news: Rush Probst is now the head coach of Valdosta High School.
Oh, boy.
Probst now will be coaching in the same town as Jamie DeBose. Valdosta High School has won 6 national
I
championships.
was to say,
In high school football, it's considered the greatest high school program in the country, winning 24 state championships.
yeah, I've heard of it for years and years. There were 2 coaches, Wright Bazemore. Have you ever heard that name? I think that was his name. Wright Bazemore was one of the coached Valdosta High School at one time, and they won a lot of national. Alan Trammell, I want to say, all right, left Eufaula, went to high school at Valdosta, and then became a quarterback at Florida. You know, but he left Eufaula to go to Valdosta.
Well, we've all heard of Valdosta High School football in this area. So that's he'll be. I'll tell you what, he'll end up being controversial. He is everywhere he goes.
Listen to this: the Valdosta City School Board took 30 minutes to make the decision, and the vote came back. The vote on the board was 5-4 to hire Probst.
Well, let me just say this:
He barely got hired.
I'll tell you this: what a lot of people are saying this morning is Valdosta will do anything to win.
Yeah, I bet that's...
Because he carries a lot of baggage, but at the same time, he is a great coach.
Michael, did you ever watch that? I bet you did. Watch that TV show on MTV about the Hoover football program that he was on.
Yeah, I watched it. I mean, Jeremy Pruitt was on it. I was young enough to watch it. One of the main characters on it was Cornelius Williams, who's boys receivers coach.
Well, I'll tell you somebody. I want to say that our head football coach Chip Lindsey was on it. Was he on it too?
I don't know if Lindsey was on that. I think it's called Two-A-Days or something.
Yeah, and John Parker Wilson's little brother was the quarterback, I think.
That's right.
But I watched it several times, and I did not have a good impression of Coach Probst after watching that show. He just rubbed me wrong all the ways you could. But you can't deny that he wins everywhere.
I've always wondered why he never coached in college. It really surprised me. And of course, one time he was at Eufaula and did a great job at Eufaula, and then left and went to Mobile County down in the boondocks down there, and he coached there for a while and won.
Yeah, he coached at
Alma Bryant.
And he was going to coach.
Would you say that's a good way to describe them, the boondocks? Is that right?
A couple of months ago, he was going to coach at this new academy in Millbrook or somewhere. That I don't know if I guess that whole idea hadn't come to fruition. Kind of like the IMG Academy is what they were proposing.
That's right. No question about it.
Yeah, he's won seven state championships, 5 at Hoover, 2 at Colquitt County. So, I mean, the guy's a proven coach. He was a volunteer assistant at UAB last year up in Birmingham. Also, big news.
Nobody questions at all his ability to coach.
Yeah.
Laverne has found a new head coach. They went and hired Jason Ryle is leaving Chickasaw to become the head coach at Luverne High School. Chickasaw is down in Mobile County.
Jason Ryle.
Yeah, Jason Ryle looks like a really young guy from what I'm seeing in the
spell his name Rowell. Ryle, is it like Jeremy Ryle?
Yeah, he spent 2 seasons with the Chieftains, won 11 and 10, made the playoffs both years before taking over at Chickasaw. Ryle spent time as assistant coach at Central, Satsuma, Leroy, Cottage Hill, Faith Academy, Alma Bryant, and Jackson.
Yeah, every one of them good programs.
But these coaches bounce around from school to school.
No question about it. Exactly.
Of course, Scott Riles is now the head coach at Baldwin County High School.
Yeah.
So,
back to Amari, would she be able to keep her
play right away?
Well, what I'm saying, play right away. But will she have to miss a year or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would think she would have to sit out a year. I mean, I think just because you're homesick, you should be able to be eligible to play right away. I think she would definitely have to sit out a year.
Homesick, like I said,
but you never know, do you, Michael? These NCAA on how they rule.
Yeah, I mean, she can appeal it, I guess. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
So
I watched that story, and then I'm watching the scroll on ESPN. And all the scroll is about all the players that have transferred from one college to the other. It's just amazing the number of college basketball players, male and female, that transfer back and forth.
It's setting up with, well, I mean, it just, one of the best examples of this deal is what happened to the kid at Akron, Akron University in Ohio. Of course, they were coached by Terry Bowden at one time, and this kid played 24 games straight for Akron. And Auburn, like we were talking about the other day, they were sort of down in alignment. That was one of their question marks this spring. If they'd had a spring, would be develop an offensive line. Well, they hired. This kid becomes eligible because he's a senior.
Yep. And, he's already graduated, or will
already graduated, or has the amount of credits to graduate, and he's going to Auburn. And let me tell you, he'll start right away. I mean, they're good football players everywhere. You could go down to Division III and find some find some good football players that have developed since they left high school. Look at Ware. Ware weighed 195 pounds when he came to Troy out of Auburn High School. Auburn didn't even look at him. He's 6'4" now, 195 pounds. Well, the last time he ever hit the field on at Memorial Stadium or Veterans Stadium right here in Troy at 6'5" and weighed 258, and he outran everybody there.
I know.
Outran everybody in the pro deal. He ran 4.48 or something.
Why can't they project when you got that tall body, then there's skinny and lean, that 4 or 5 years from now they're not going to be that skinny? Yeah. And
O.C. Umenure was just as good, and both of them came out of Auburn High School.
That's something, yeah.
And O.C. Umenure, and then later on we had a linebacker, Mike. He didn't play wasn't quite as good as those two, but he went on and played in Canada.
Yeah, you're talking about Brandon Boudreaux.
Yeah, Brandon Boudreaux came out of Auburn High School. That's 3 big Division 1A program guys that
were stars in the well. 2 of them were stars in the NFL. DeMarcus is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer probably.
Yeah. And it's something Coach Larry Blakeney, of course, Larry, dear friend, and we always talked about recruits and recruiting and so forth, and that's the main thing. Is to get players. If you don't have players, you're not going to win.
You don't have the Jimmies, and you got to have the Jimmies
even
and
Coach
Joes.
Bryant couldn't win without players. But now, my good friend down at Florida A&M, though, always said that Coach Bryant could take his'n and beat urine and urine and beat his'n.
I think.
Have you heard about the great Troy basketball signing?
Yeah, I saw something on the CBS News.
Troy has gotten the top scorer in the state of Alabama. This kid played at Pinson Valley High School, 6A school right outside of Birmingham. His name's Cam Woods.
Very good program. Yeah.
Cam Woods is signed with Troy. All he did last year in the 6A level in basketball was average 38 points a game.
Oh, man. So, and we got him.
I've never known a Troy to get a score like this. He's the 6A player of the year 2 straight years.
God.
He was the 3A player of the year as a sophomore at midfield. So this Cam Woods kid's coming to Troy to play for Coach Cross.
His name is Cam Woods.
Yeah, averages 38 points a game, 6'1" point guard.
I got chill bumps running down both of my arms.
Sounds like he is doing a great job recruiting.
But the problem is if we'll have a basketball season. What'd you say, Steve? That's right, if we ever get them back to play it. Mike, this is unprecedented. Why didn't other people recruit this guy? You said he averaged 38 points a game?
Yeah, I mean,
we got another.
I've read articles. There's a huge article about him on AL.com yesterday. So,
and said he's going to Troy. And is that just a commitment? Now, does he start? He's got 1 more year of high school. Is that right?
No, he's signed with Troy.
Gosh, how did we get this guy?
The signing day was yesterday, and then they also got the best player out of Robert E. Lee High School in Montgomery as well.
Exactly. And, that is fantastic. And then got some kid out of Texas too, didn't he?
Yeah, they went to Tyler Junior College and got Kiefer Punter, a 6'4" guard. He's originally from the Bronx, New York, so he'll be signing with Troy. He shot 44% from the three-point line.
Oh, man.
And they got a guy named Roy, looks like, I guess, Foblet, and he's a 6'9" power forward that also played at Tyler Junior College at Texas.
Gosh.
Now, keep in mind, the cross was at Arlington, UT Arlington
Yeah,
for
that's
almost,
right.
what,
Yeah, that's right.
17 years, I guess. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's a big connection in Texas.
Boy, oh boy, you know, and everybody was
Coach
saying
Cross.
all these players are quitting. Something must be wrong with the coach. This other show that comes on our air, I heard him the other night. He said, "Oh gosh, something must be wrong for all these guys to quit." You know what he did? He ran them off.
That's right.
You want to know the rest of the story? He ran them off so he could bring in his players.
He needed
his
he
recruits.
wanted some scholarships.
And
He
you know,
went to South Grand Prairie in Texas and got the 6A District 7 Defensive Player of the Year. A kid named Christian Turner, 6'7" forward.
gosh, and they're big kids too. I just hope that we can get on the court this year. This looks like a lot of fun. We ought to sell out that Trojan Arena.
Oh, that's
You got a
beautiful.
kid that averaged 38 points a game, though, in high school at a 6A level. I mean,
I know
this
it.
has got to be the greatest signing since Wesley Person, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Out of
Oh, yeah.
Brandley.
This is fantastic. And boy, and they're big kids. I mean, these are. I mean, what I'm saying, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys. You know.
Well, Mike is right. You get in basketball, he said 5 players. I would say if you get 3 really good players and you have some good supporting players around them that have been in your program a while, man, you can jump up the charts in basketball and compete, can't you? And
Yeah.
and win a couple games in the tournament, get in the
Ladies and
tournament.
gentlemen, before we tip this basketball game off, we want everybody to make sure they got their face mask on. Hopefully that's not the case.
What have you watched the game and all the players were playing with one on?
We're going to bring the coach on soon and talk about this. He's got to be excited. But first of all, how does Cam Woods hang around this long, Mike, before he signs? Did he sign with somebody?
I think it's a situation that maybe the big boys backed off at the last minute, and Troy scooped him up.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably what happened. Troy was probably in there the whole time. But
Is Woods a forward or guard or center? Or what?
he's a 6'1" shooting guard.
He's a 6'1" shooting guard, and he's going to be playing next to the kid they signed out of Robert E. Lee. And plus, we already had a pretty good young freshman
You know,
guard.
Brubaker Tech Williams.
So that's 3 top-notch guards right there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, the future looks bright. You know, if these guys can come in from junior college and contribute.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then they got the Zay Williams kid, the 6'9" kid
Yeah.
out of Birmingham. He'll be back healthy.
Zay Williams, how many points did he have in a big game earlier this year?
He scored 30 points against Indiana.
30 points against Indiana.
And then he got hurt,
Do
right?
you think a guy like that could play?
Yes.
30
I do.
points against Indiana. And you know what this guy reminds me of, Mike? Ladies and gentlemen, hey, we're bringing him back. Pistol Pete Maravich. Pistol Pete Woods. Pistol Cam Woods. Of course, you know, nobody could do it like Maravich. Maravich averaged 44 points a game his entire 4-year career at LSU. He averaged 44 points a game.
I was reading an article about Woods. Apparently, in the state championship, before the state championship game, they were playing Oxford out of Anniston, and he apparently scored 31 points in the second half of a game.
In the second half.
And led them to a 70-67 victory. So this guy is a phenomenal scorer.
He must be a 3-point shooter too, though, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he could do it all,
But now you said he's just 6'1". He's 6'1", and
okay.
so he's not what you call a big guard at all.
I mean, but averaging 38 points a
I
game,
know.
that's incredible.
In high school, and when the quarters are what, 8-minute quarters,
Guess who
32?
the high school football coach was too? They had a very good football team too, didn't they?
Yeah, Patrick Nix.
Yeah, Patrick Nix was the quarterback, and so forth. Mike, that's great information. I want to mention, we might have talked about this the other day. Robert Brundage died. Worked with the city of Troy for a long time. I know I mentioned it the other day, but I'd like to mention it again. what a fine gentleman he was. One of the best softball players, maybe in the history of Troy Pike County. They wouldn't even pitch to him because he hit so many home runs. Back in those days. You remember when softball they played the slow pitch softball, and he was one of the all-time greats. If there was ever a Hall of Fame recreation player, he'd have to be one.
And he was an umpire, and he worked for the recreation department.
And Scotty influenced him so much. Scotty was so good to Robert, and Robert developed from a young man working with the recreation department. And of course, Scotty had a lot of involvement with a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you talked to Terry Jenwright, and you talked to the Wilkes brothers. You talked to just hundreds of people right here in Troy that their lives were affected by Scotty Sowers.
Well, he was so charismatic and had such a unique
And
personality.
he was so pure. I mean, he was he let you know in a hurry just by being around him and watching him that he was a Christian and he loved the Lord Jesus Christ.
Always upbeat and happy.
We always had prayer. I worked with the recreation department too, and we always had prayer before we went to work.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When did you work for the recreation department?
When I was in college.
Good for you.
Back in 19.
My brother Rush did too.
Hey, call some people. Of course, I was a college kid, and I'd pick them up, and sometimes I'd have 25 players on both teams. But
Rush did that, and that's when they still had the Murphy Park pool, and they would have to empty the pool and fill it up every 3 nights with a fire hose.
You're exactly right.
Let me tell you one of Rush's stories when he was working there. Him and Todd Rainey, Jack Rainey's oldest son, were working together, and then they have this guy that might still be working there. He's a deaf mute. He can't talk, and they were all working, dragging the field, and for some reason Todd Rainey fell asleep when he was dragging the infield.
Oh God!
And you could see him weaving, and he was heading right towards the third base dugout. And Rush heard this fella that has a hard time talking, just saying, "God, watch it." Couldn't stop him, and Todd ran right into the dugout. I remember they had to rebuild.
Later on was a star quarterback for Charles Henderson.
Well, he was the starting free safety on the state championship team. He was a great discus and shot put guy too.
Yeah.
But the stories you have, Rush also worked at the highway department. Remember, but a lot of people used to work at the highway department.
Oh yeah, but he had a little.
He had an end.
He had an end, didn't he?
Well, he had an end at the recreation department too, because my mom was on the rec board.
Yeah, you're right. But I will say this too.
But he worked hard.
Scotty had an intercom system that you could hear it all over that part of Hillcrest and Murphy Park and all over through those woods. But he had and he said, "Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Murphy Park, and we hope you enjoy your day today."
He was always. He would do college games, high school games, and then Dixie Youth games. Everybody knew him.
He played around a lot, but when he was serious, he was as good official that you'd ever see anywhere. He worked for games with Adolph Rupp at Kentucky and Joel Eves at Auburn. I mean, he worked some big SEC games. The reason we knew him here was he was stationed in Montgomery at Maxwell Field for years and years. But then he met this young lady named Gracie. And he and Gracie got married, and then Gracie taught school at Troy University.
Oh,
and they know the rest of the story.
The rest of how we got Scotty.
And, that's how you got Scotty. And I tell you, I remember as a basketball player, and he would officiate our games. And you go to the free throw line, and he would go and start talking to you. He instead of holding the ball underneath the goal, he would walk out to where the shooter was and be talking a regular conversation, and you'd get tickled to death. So I'd go to the free throw line, just laughing so hard I couldn't shoot my free throw, But I officiated a lot with him, and I officiated for 25 years.
I know.
Worked a lot of college football, basketball, and whatever. But he taught me basic mechanics, and he said, Mike, whether you're right or wrong, be loud and
act like you're sure of yourself.
Act like you are sure of yourself. Just make sure that when that coach comes up and talks to you, that hey, you say, well, Coach, it was that, I don't know, Coach, he could have gone either way. No, Coach, he blocked him. He was there before before he came down. So that is an offensive foul, and we're going to go the other way.
How did you get started refereeing basketball games?
Needed something, needed a way to make money, but no, I worked with the recreation department, but through the recreation department, we would do kids games and all that and so forth, and then I noticed that Terry Jenwright and all those guys were making money doing it, so I started doing it myself. Let's go to our phones. I believe this could be Max Howell. Mike, we're going to bring both of you in, but let me go here. Where's the hold? Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you this morning?
Max Howell calling from Fulton, Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen, one of the renowned sports analysts in the country, and he's going to let us know exactly when we're going to start college football. Max, good morning. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing great, Mike. Doing very, very well. I'm hoping this thing's getting ready to head downhill. Mike, I'm going to tell you, I'm on the road most every day, and I got a feeling it's just the anxiety of people being shut in has just about reached its peak.
No question about it. We're going to bring Mike Amos in. Just hold on 1 second, Max. I'm going to put you on hold, and we're going to bring him in and then bring both of you in here. 1, 1, 1. And 1, 1, 1. There we go. Got both of you. Is that right?
I'm here.
My problem we've been having, though, we can't get line 3 and 4 in. But Max Howell calling in from Fulton, and your good friend Mike Amos is calling in from Grayton Beach this morning, Max. And, of course, Bill Rice Jr., a few weeks ago when you first started coming on the air with Bill up on the podium with us, you found out that you actually grew up with his daddy. Is that right?
Small world.
Absolutely. From Prattville, Alabama. Yeah, I think your dad and family moved from Prattville, probably in elementary school.
That's right, Max.
You guys moved to Troy, and we stayed in touch off and on, not as close as probably we should have, but we finished high school and he goes to Alabama, and I take off and go to Auburn for a year and then end up in Troy for the rest of my career. And certainly we ran into each other after that, after he moved back to Troy.
Yeah, no question about it. And, of course, at one time, people don't realize at one time Prattville was like out in the country. I mean, it was a very rural town when you were growing up, wasn't it?
It was 2,500 people, Mike. It was the size of, it was a little bit bigger than Brundage. And that was the concept. Everybody knew everybody. I lived on the last paved street of the town.
Yeah.
That was 5th Street, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you this: if they hadn't built a big bridge, there wouldn't be a town there today. That interstate had to go through it. Don't you agree?
Very true. Very true. Oh yeah, that certainly helps. Expansion whenever travel and transportation.
Yeah.
Involved, you're going to get growth.
Yeah.
Of course. Prattville High School is the biggest high school in the state of Alabama right now.
Yeah, it is.
They have it's 50,000 people with no major industry. It's all just a bedroom community.
That's right. Yeah, I tell you what, people don't realize the traffic jam coming in from Montgomery. From Prattville to Montgomery.
You're right. Well, there's no industry in Prattville, really. I've never really thought.
Except for
they used to have the gin or whatever, but a long time ago.
Was that Eli Whitney? Who invented the cotton gin? Eli Whitney?
Yeah.
See, I remember things like that. I can't remember my name.
Daniel Pratt.
Daniel Pratt brought all that.
Oh, Pratt, that's right. Yeah, Pratt, you're right.
From Birmingham. He was involved in the steel industry in Birmingham.
I'm going to throw out a name to you. And he worked with the YMCA in Prattville for years and years. His name is Larry Lott. You remember Larry Lott?
Everybody in Mississippi and Alabama knows Larry Lott.
That's right. And Larry, good friend of mine. His son is a very well one of the great high school football coaches in the Alabama Independent School Association over at Macon East Montgomery, Glenn Lott. And I keep up with Larry pretty much through Glenn.
Yeah, Larry and I grew up together in our professional career. And of course, I was involved with the independent schools in the state of Alabama as a
You
first.
sure were. That's right.
At that time, and Larry was already involved. Of course, Larry was an entrepreneur. He had his hands in half a dozen small businesses.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
And did very well. He really has. And I think he's had some health problems over the past few years.
I tell you what, and like you said, though, he was with the YMCA there for years, and it was one of the best run YMCA's in the state. When you say
absolutely, no, absolutely. He in that market, Mike. He created all the team sports. He brought soccer in. He brought basketball in for younger kids, and he did. He was innovative.
No question about it.
In Alabama.
Listen to this, out of Columbia, Tennessee. That's where he came from.
I
just happened to go through my what's left of my brain. Of course, Max Howell, ladies and gentlemen, one of the leading sports analysts in the country.
Well, Max, let me get back
Max,
to
you ought to draw unemployment because he can't talk about football.
Yeah, he can talk. We're talking about it right now.
You ought to try to get some unemployment for that.
Hey, let me tell y'all what I did last night. I was channel surfing on the SEC network. They were replaying the Alabama LSU game. And I actually never watched the second half of that game because if you remember, Alabama got down so much in the first half. I'm very superstitious, and I said the only dang way Alabama's going to make a miracle comeback is if I quit watching this game. So I turned it off and did not even watch the second half. Alabama darn near came back, too.
But if you think about it, that last touchdown was sort of
that was padded the scoreboard.
Padded, so it could have been.
But Alabama got within one score a couple of times. Yeah. But so I finally watched the second half of the Alabama LSU game last night. And Tua lit it up in the second half, man.
I was to say now, did Tua play the whole game against LSU?
Yeah, with that gimpy ankle.
Okay. If he hadn't gotten hurt, Alabama might have won a national championship.
I think in a rematch, if Tua's healthy, LSU's probably the favorite and probably wins, but I think the only team that really could have beat them was Alabama.
Yeah. And I'm not taking a thing away from Auburn, but I think most of my friends that are big Auburn fans are very intelligent fans. And they tell you right away that if Tua had played, Alabama wouldn't have lost to Auburn. I mean, because he was that good. And but Max, you know what?
Mac Jones played great against Auburn. He just threw two of the worst passes you could ever throw. I mean, for pick sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically give a team 14 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Alabama's offense; it was Alabama's defense.
Yeah, they were bad.
That's what cost them the ball game. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I had a long talk with a guy that was right there at the beginning of spring this year. And until they get some more talent there, they're gonna be the better defense next year than they were this past year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, this is from the guy that's on the field with them.
Wait a minute, tell me that again now.
He said if they don't have some additional talent come in that can play, Alabama's defense will not be much better than it was last year.
Yeah, well, I was wondering about that.
Dylan Moses coming in at linebacker with those two young guys that started last year ought to be huge. I mean, he's an All-American linebacker back, and then you got LeBron Ray, who was supposed to be an All-SEC guy, defensive end that was hurt all year. He's going to be back. I mean, defensively they should be a lot better.
You don't have any talent, Michael, on that defensive front though.
Yeah, they got Charlie Strong, the former head coach at Louisville, head coach at Texas, was a great defense coordinator on 2 national championship teams at Florida. He's an analyst now. I mean, I don't know why in the world they didn't make him defense coordinator.
Exactly.
The deal is they hadn't recruited the talent to play on the defensive front at the level that Alabama's accustomed to playing at.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you, Mike, I was listening to the radio yesterday and listening to Feinbaum, and he had the Oregon head coach on and of course, he coached at Alabama for several years under Coach Saban.
Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, Mike. He raved over and over and over about Saban. I've never seen anybody that raved so much over him, and just saying that he has been the difference in his coaching career. He said that we do everything we do at Oregon pretty much is the same thing we did at Alabama. And he said Saban was just such a great teacher. a lot of people don't realize this, Max, and you don't see much of this anymore. Saban's a hands-on coach.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't sit back like a lot of coaches and just ride around on the golf cart. He's out there coaching.
Yep.
Don't you agree?
You know, and they, no, I don't think there's any doubt. And I'll tell you how much detail he pays to what they do. The day that they broke up, every one of those kids left there with an iPad and an Apple Watch. They monitor every hour during the day that those guys are off the field right now. They know how many lifts they do. They know how many 40s they run. You know, they know all about their technique. The coaches are spending hours or two every day with them by iPad. They're coaching them right now.
You know, you wonder if the players are going to have the self-discipline to stay in shape without these daily workouts. And you can think of some of them that need to lose weight and couldn't play last year because they were bad out of shape. And
they monitor them every hour. I mean, I'm going to tell you, if they don't, I can tell you what happened in Alabama. They'll be looking for somewhere else to play.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the degree.
Yeah. You know, and how much work they're able to do during this situation. Like I ride by, Veterans Stadium every day, and of course the coaches' offices and everything.
Yeah.
I don't even see a car. I mean, they've just been shut down, Max, and by law they're shut down. Is that right?
Well, yeah, but yesterday Mike Pence had a conference call with all the commissioners in the country, plus Notre Dame, and they've already started now trying to look at it planning. However, they don't want to, right now the university presidents as well as Pence even said this, they don't want any kind of activity on campus until the universities open up. And I was a little surprised at that because even though we've had summer practices and all when school was out, the university was open during that time. So I don't know what they're going to consider open.
Right.
To what degree are they going to send students back on campus, or they going to allow the online students to count as the university being open?
Yeah, that's good.
Some major decisions got to be made, guys, in the next few weeks.
It was Fowler for ESPN that said that the whole thing, kit and caboodle, depends on when they reopen the colleges.
That's exactly right.
And there's
exactly right.
Logistic issues, like, for example, I just read that the last SAT and ACT tests have been pushed back. Well, you can't get your freshman class finalized until kids have got their ACT and SAT scores in.
Let me tell you though, they're gonna for the first time ever, they're gonna not even require it anymore.
Waive it.
They're gonna waive it. They're gonna waive it. Hey, don't you know there's a lot of people up jumping up and down doing backward flips? They're gonna waive the ACT test.
But you know what, Mike? If they can't make it that first semester, they'll be sitting back at home.
Yeah, no question.
So they'll waive it to get them in, open up. But there'll be some tight scrutiny on that academic side, I think, that first semester to see how many of those kids actually want to be there. Because look, guys, everybody's not meant to go to college. I mean, let's be realistic.
Oh, yeah, that's no question about that.
Just because you get a high school degree, and I think this shutdown has seen across with the unemployment. There are thousands and thousands of jobs out there that pay good money that you don't have to have a college education for.
I agree, Mike.
All right, now I need to put this information out to everybody. Looking at Pike County, Alabama, there are 27 cases of the COVID-19 virus in Pike County, Alabama. Total 286 were tested. And no deaths to report, so thank goodness. And in the state of Alabama, there are 4,241 confirmed cases. Total tested in Alabama, 34,077, which is not very much.
No, right.
Reported deaths, there's 123 actual reported deaths. This is to the Alabama Department of Public Health. And 75 from the illness. There've been 75 deaths, by way of the COVID-19 data.
I saw that the NFL had their first player that had tested positive. News came out yesterday. As a center for the Rams, Now he's
Oh,
fine.
wow.
He's now virus free, but he did have it at one time. And I did the math, and there's about 1,500, 1,600 players in the NFL. So 1 out of 1,600 players is tested positive. And then I did the math on Pike
That's
County.
amazing.
Pike County, the last time I checked, it's now gone up, had 20 confirmed cases, but there's 32,000 people in Pike County.
Well, and we've got up to date now. This is
So,
as of 7:13 this morning on April the
That's
16th.
27.
It's 27. So
But the math I did, you divide 20 into 32,000, that's 1 in 1,600 people in Pike County have the virus, which is the exact ratio as the NFL. So, 1 out of 1,600 people are getting it.
look how easy this is. Look how easy this is. Look. I mean, that's all. I mean,
Well, Trump's talking about, opening
that's
20 states.
all I'm asking you to do is wear your mask.
I mean, the 20 states he's going to open looks like it'll probably be Wyoming. They have 288 cases. They're the lowest. And Alaska's 293. North Dakota's 365. Montana's 404. Hawaii's 530. West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia's one of the best places to
Vermont,
be, isn't it?
759. Maine 770. Nebraska 952. New Hampshire's numbers are in the thousands. South Dakota, New Mexico, Kansas, Idaho, Arkansas, Oregon, all those are under like 1,500 cases. So you got to think those are the states that are going to open back up in the next few weeks.
Well, let me just say this. Of course, West Virginia had 718 cases and 12 deaths. But a lot of people are talking about what's happening in Wisconsin, Mike. They're opening their doors a little bit. Have you heard that?
I hadn't heard that.
Want to mention on January the 21st was the first case
In America.
In America on January
Confirmed
21st, and to this day there's 644,348 cases. There's been 28,000 now, 554 deaths by way of the virus, and recovered people that actually were had the virus. Now they're recovered from the virus. 48,700.
Yeah, the United States will have over 30,000 deaths by the end of the day. Yesterday, the United States had 2,400 deaths due to the coronavirus.
How many?
2,400 people died yesterday
In
with
one
coronavirus
day.
in the United
In one
States.
day. Was that out of New York mostly, or where?
Yeah, mostly New York, New Jersey.
That and of course I hate it for those people. And I've got a good friend of mine that's got a daughter that lives there in New York, which a lot of people do. I'm sure. Now, I bet those folks are shut in. I bet you don't see them go out even to take the garbage. I bet they're taking it serious, but at the same time, they've got all these people in the hospital that are either getting better or getting worse. Is that right?
I guess, yeah, it's by far the hardest hit area in America.
So yesterday,
more than half the deaths are from New York and New Jersey.
Exactly. Max, have you been wearing a mask?
I have it on the front seat of my car. I just don't go many places where
Yeah,
people
I understand. If you go to the post office, go to any public place, I really believe that you need to wear a mask. And hopefully everybody out there will do it. I was showing you how easy it is, and it is very easy to like you get out of your car. Before you get out of your car, go ahead and put your mask.
How long can you use the same mask for days?
Well, I don't know. I've used one. This one right here came out of a box right there in my back porch.
So you can wash. You can wash them.
Exactly right, and you're going to see that more and more people are making these things, and some of them making them to look real good and cute, like the. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, the Western Wear place, the Don Walker Western Wear, had these things for $10.
Great.
And they're different colors and different designs and so forth.
Now, can you go in Don Walker Western Wear?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but they had them for sale. And it might be out on front porch or whatever at Don Walker's Western Wear, and I don't think they would. In fact, I think they would like for me to tell you about this. And
I'll tell
whatever.
you what, I went to a grocery store down here the other day, and I would say I was in Publix in Watercolor, and I'd say 50% of the people in there had masks on, but the rest didn't.
That's about the percentage.
Most of the people don't wear anything at all.
That's about the percentage I've run into up here.
Now y'all have a big breakfast group, don't you, Max? Did y'all shut down or what?
Everybody shut down on any kind of group of really 3 or 4 more. Really don't get out much anymore, Mike. That's I think everybody's just kind of waiting to see. And of course, we're in a rural county. There's 29,000 people here. We've only had 6 cases. We've had 1 death. A young guy, 46 years old, but he had heart trouble and all kind of underlying health problems anyway. We've been very blessed in our community, but it's rural. Fulton's the biggest town in this county. There's 4,000 people.
Yeah.
So, we don't, not many people, everything's shut down. No, they've even shut down to-go restaurants up here.
How about Tunica? Is it shut down?
They shut that down first. It's about shut down completely before this hit, Mike. They've already, Harrow's gone. There's half a dozen of the casinos already pulled up from up there.
Yeah. We appreciate so much.
The only ones in Tunica anymore is the Golden Strike and
That's right.
the Horseshoe, and that's about it.
He's the only fella I know that is this that he's this unlucky. He loses all his money in Tunica, then he drives outside. He leaves the casino. He leaves the casino, and he's 5 miles away from the place, and then he gets a speeding ticket. So hey, I would call him unlucky, would you?
How much was that speeding ticket?
$300. I literally just got out of the gates of the Harris Casino in Tunica, and I got pulled over by a trooper.
How did you get? What were you doing to get a $300 ticket?
Hey, listen,
I guess I
people.
was going 20 miles over, maybe. I don't know.
Thanks a lot of those small towns trying to make money, are they?
That is robbery. That they can charge you $300 for a speeding ticket. I mean,
I hadn't had a speeding ticket in 10 years, but I've had 2 in Ponce and Leon, heading to Panama City Beach.
I got pulled over in Birmingham, Alabama. I was doing 81 and a 70. Mine was $196.
See, governments are so desperate for money that they have hiked up these fees for speeding and running stoplights.
And what they got now, they make you go to school, or you can go to school and get some of that taken off your record. That's what you got to go to school to do it. They have
That was the first one I had in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's sticker shock. That's ridiculous.
I hadn't had a ticket in years since then, but I'll never forget that day. That was awful.
Well, I'm gonna make a prediction here that with all the governments aren't getting the revenue because people aren't working. The tax revenue's not coming in.
That's right.
I would say your local and state governments are going to have to do more of this. They're going to keep raising the fees and the fines. So
I wonder how many people
have
have gotten a check. If y'all have any of your friends that have gotten a check yet?
I don't know. They're supposed to get them yesterday.
Wait a minute, Max. You get a check?
I got a bunch of folks up here that's got this small business loans. I got 3 or 4 people that's already got 25,000 to 50,000.
Boy,
small business. We got one bank. Here's the scary thing, guys. How many defaults are going to be done on these loans around? This is the big concern in Mississippi right now. Renaissance Bank is the 3rd largest bank in Tupelo, Mississippi. They're not a huge bank. They had 7,000 requests for $1.4 billion in the city of Tupelo.
yeah.
And I can guarantee you half of those will never be repaid.
Yeah.
Well, I think they expect that, Max. I think they say it's a loan it's a forgivable loan, they call it. So it's basically a grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to employ at least 75% of your employment, though, don't you?
Right. It's got to be monitored, and a lot of those guys, I think those loans over 25,000 have to be repaid.
Well, I think what they're doing there is they're trying to keep the unemployment rolls from going sky high. You know, you get this loan if you keep paying your employees, so those employees don't show up on the unemployment figures.
Exactly, and it's going to be hard for the government to. I mean, this is so huge. We've never seen anything to compare with this. But and there's going to be some people that don't do what they're supposed to do and whatever. And I'm sure they're going to make some mistakes with some companies and not with other companies. You know.
Well,
let's take a short break. We'll be right back with more of Today in L.A. That's Lower Alabama.
Yeah, the head guy over agriculture was here and speaking yesterday. That's Sonny Perdue. He used to be the governor of Mississippi when he Mike's.
Right.
You know Sonny personally, probably personal.
No, but I know a lot of folks, that's involved.
Right.
And of course, we started off. We were trying to get our co-op going over here for the hemp industry, and we made some headways in it. But the bill passed the legislature, and but it has not been signed by the governor yet. So we're on hold. Our business is on hold.
And that could provide a lot of jobs. Don't you agree?
Oh, listen. I don't think we even realize, Mike, what the long-term damage on this thing's going to be economically. It may take us 5 years. This country 5 years to come out of this.
Well, the Great Depression lasted 15 years, and I don't think it's far-fetched to think that this could end up being another Great Depression.
Yeah. Let's go on a commercial. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
$6.
Resale on that's $5 to $6 off our.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Country Financial, located on the square in downtown Troy. This has affected so many people, Max, and of course, you're over in Georgia, over in Mississippi, and you see where, people go from paycheck to paycheck. People don't realize how many people go from paycheck to paycheck. And once that money goes away, they're in trouble. And what do? A lot of these folks have 3 or 4 children.
Well, they do. That's down at that level. But let's talk about the guys that are the employers of these guys. The small businesses have 10 to 15 employees. They've shut down. They have no income coming in to pay those. Yet their rent goes on. Their light bill goes on. They need to take care of their employees, so once things lifted, they can bring them back. It's a vicious cycle. I don't see and here's the thing that you really stop to think. I don't think a lot of people think about. These guys go out and borrow $25,000, $50,000 to stay alive for a month or two here. All right, how long does it take them to go back in to pay that loan back? And then what about the pricing of the items they're selling? The fried chicken plate that used to be $7.95 may go to $10.95. I'm just going down to the basis of what's happening on my observation, and I'm on the street every day.
I'm in the I've been in the newspaper business most of my life. Have you been following what's happening to newspapers and journalists all over the country? They're being laid off left and right, and newspapers like our Messenger has cut back from printing 5 days a week to now 2 days a week. That's historic news right there. That's probably for 100 years in Troy, we have had a newspaper that came out at least 5 days a week, and now it's going to 2 days a week. But you're right. If you can think about any industry and you just have any imagination whatsoever, you can see how devastating this is. And then put all the industries together and then just picture the dominoes falling behind the scenes, it's so scary.
Max, there's a
what's
story
going
here in
to happen
Troy.
if we find out this came from a lab in the facility? Does that mean we're going to war?
Yeah, boy, that's what I worry about too, Mike. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, there's going to be there's going to be some real research into exactly what happened. And again, what's so scary? Anybody could do this. I mean, this is a terrible thing, but I'm sure there are labs all over the world that could do this same thing to most anybody. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, and I think that may have been some of the underlying factors about this thing. We don't know what the motivation was I think a lot of us have an idea. That it started. It was, but our economic system, guys, has been based on psychological anyway. We know that everybody's happy watching the stock market when it's up. Everybody's spending money. When it's down, everybody kind of pulls back a little bit. But we've had indicators before with those things. Now we've got some devastating situations that's going to last for years, I think. And I think our whole society is going to rethink their every day. And my concern, we get back to the sports situation. I'm not concerned right now about getting the teams on the field ready to play. I'm worried about how many people are going to be in the stands. What about our psychological edge on group meetings? I think this will take a while for that to wash out.
Somebody told me a school like Alabama, big money school, 100,000 seat capacity schools. Said Alabama could lose up to $100 million if they don't play football next year.
You didn't think about what that does to the economy of Tuscaloosa and just all
That's just hearsay now.
Right. No, it's you do. I've done the math. 100,000 seats. You usually have 8 home games. Yeah. Say it's $60 a ticket. That's $6 million in ticket sales a game times 8 games. That's $48 million in ticket sales. And then they're going to lose all that ESPN and CBS TV revenue. I think $100 million is probably right.
Max, I really believe I'm right here. I really believe this is what they ought to do. If this virus, first of all, it'd be great to know we had a shot we could take and so forth. But I could see them doing this and starting off first week of January, and play just 8 games. Play just 8 games. You wouldn't play the top 4 games, which is a moneymaker game for the young.
You'd have to have no off weeks too. You'd have to play straight 8 games,
and then have 12 to 16 teams in a playoff. Max, extend the playoff to 12 to 16 teams.
Mike, what is that going to do to all the other sports?
Well,
it's going. Basketball. What about baseball? What about all the other?
That's right. But they're not as big. Unless you're at Kentucky or somewhere like that. They're not.
Those sports don't exist unless football exists. Is the bottom, because football pays the bills for all those other sports. And I don't know why you'd have to play 8. Why couldn't you go ahead and play 12 games? 3 months.
And then start basketball in March. And start baseball at the same time. You'd have to have baseball and basketball going at the same time. Yeah. You're going to try to do it within a school year. Yeah. I think it makes sense. What do you think?
You're saying I might not get to watch Troy, Arkansas, Pine Bluff to start the season?
It's Troy against Arkansas, Pine Bluff. You're right. Hey Max, just make a note of this. I know you talked to Wimp and them quite a bit. Tell them to look into the people that Troy has signed in basketball. It's just unreal. They just got a kid, 6A, 7A school that averaged 36 points a game. Troy just signed him to play next year.
Jeez. Well, I had of course, we're all concerned now about football, and I don't know how much basketball. I just saw Kentucky's all-starting 5 going to the NBA. So, that's the only thing that's making the headlines around. I have not really talked much basketball. Actually, Mike, from what I do, I've been on a few radio shows. They all want to talk about starting dates and, kind of what we're going to do for football. And there's as many opinions out there as there are people.
Well, if you think about it, your livelihood has been, you could file unemployment because your topic most all the time is football. Is that right?
That is. That's very true. But you know what? There's some guidelines out there that I don't qualify
I know what you mean. You make too much money.
If you're Dylan Moses and you could be a number one pick in the NFL draft the next year, and you're Najee Harris, the great running back came back for Alabama, and some other great players came back. I mean, if you're only going to play 8 games, do you even try to play?
That's a good point, Mike.
You're exactly right.
I bet a lot of them say
that is me, your daddy, making that assumption that they would do that. I've heard that though, and I thought it worked good.
I think everybody's looking for an answer. I don't know what the answer is, but everybody's got wants to see. And guys, we got another thing. How many people, in all fairness, are you going to get a crowd to come go to a stadium in January and try to play 8 games in the winter? In some of the outdoor stadiums across the country, particularly in the north and northeast.
The attendance would be vastly smaller. Yeah.
And you might have to go to different places. Like I haven't looked at this, but Arizona. You take Arizona. How does it rank among some of these other states?
If they ain't got your budget, they don't have your money to go to travel. How they gonna get there?
Yeah,
these bowl games where
they've had about 4,000 cases.
It's some of the markets like Rutgers. I don't see how they could play this year. Some of the other in areas where you can't play probably. Does the NCAA come out and say that these teams just won't play and this is who's going to be able to play this year?
No, I can't see that.
Scheduling did.
I don't know.
If a conference can't play, all 12 or 14 schools, wherever their conference is, if you got 2 or 3, do they just shut them out? Then what does it do to them financially?
Yeah. There's so many questions.
You'd have to promise them money, I guess. I don't know.
In this terrible, ladies and gentlemen, that on this show, instead of looking at standings in football or basketball, we're looking at standings and how many people died
last
night of the disease.
We're talking about
was 2,400.
We're talking about canceling college football season. And we just learned that in the whole NFL, there's just been one player that had this virus, and he's fine. You could separate that one player if one player got it. I have not heard of one Troy University football player that has this, one Auburn football player, one Troy, one Alabama football player. So the odds that any of these players are going to get the virus is very small. But even if a couple players on your team do get it, they can be quarantined and stay in the hospital. So what I'm getting at is just because a couple people might get the virus, why do you got to shut down something that millions of people, nobody's dying from it?
Because the media is promoting it.
Yeah. They would have to.
People get the flu all the time in sports.
Right.
Anybody ever talked about the number of people that's recovered from that, which is over 520,000?
Yeah, in fact.
That number is thrown out there yet.
Yeah. In fact, the latest United States people that are recovered is 48,708. They've had 28,554 deaths by the virus, and the number of cases positive for the virus was 644,380.
And don't you think a lot of people are saying now that the number of people that have actually had the virus is much, much, much higher.
Yeah.
People just didn't know they had it, and then they've had it, and they've lost.
And they've recovered from that.
And so you do the math on the number of people that actually had it compared to the deaths, and then the death rate gets tinier, even tinier, gets close to the regular flu rate.
That's more people killed in a car wreck or have heart attacks.
There's no question about that.
The PGA Tour said they're going to play the Colonial in June. Major League Baseball says they're going to start playing in Arizona in May. As soon as more sporting events start happening, the better there is a chance of college football season.
I agree.
But
hopefully we're going to start seeing some sporting. Major League Baseball players don't even get paid until the season starts, so they want to play.
Yeah. But you talk about Arizona being they've still got 3,750 cases of the virus in Arizona. So you're not running. Why can they do it in Arizona and they can't do it in Florida?
That's not many yet in a state with Arizona probably has 6-7 million people. That's a small fraction.
Yeah.
How many does Alabama have? Compare Arizona to Alabama. We got more cases in Arizona.
Alabama has 4,200 cases.
Yes, Alabama has more than Arizona.
123 deaths. Of course, Pike County goes to 27. They have 27. cases.
Good, really. They really are.
Yeah.
I agree.
And hopefully, these 27 people in Pike County that are shown to be positive for the virus, evidently have been treated and dismissed.
Well, they never even were admitted into the hospital.
Yeah.
Because they don't want people in the hospital unless you got a really bad case. So
right.
last I heard that, there have been no corona patients in the Troy hospital.
Yeah. Steve, if you will, put the hotline number up, if you will, 670-5409. 670-5409. If you've got any question about the virus or if you have any of the symptoms, you can call these people at this emergency line. Area code 334-670 locally 5409, and they'll answer most any of your questions. They'll advise you on whether or not you need to see your own personal doctor, or you need to be go to the emergency room or whatever, or if you need to just stay at home and self
Self-isolate or
isolation, whatever.
Self-shelter or shelter in place.
But if you start getting this, if this happens, having a cough, having a constant fever, have shortness of breath, you need to see a doctor and see one fairly quick.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm on my way to eating myself to death. I'm gaining about 15 pounds since it's happened.
I bet that's happening to
believe it or
lots
not,
of people.
Believe it or not, I've lost weight doing this, and it's because that's right.
I eat all day now.
It's called boredom eating is what the term I've heard, Mike.
Of course, we appreciate so much our sponsors, Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Bill Jackson Ford on the bypass right here in Troy. You look at these automobile dealers, and of course, Premier, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Truck. All these are sponsors of ours. This is a good time to buy a car if you got especially with some of this money coming
That's
in.
right. Yeah.
People
that been saving and already had money, when they get $3,400 put in their bank account, that's your
right.
down payment. Heck,
and they're definitely open for
and
business.
you can get 84 months financing at 0% interest.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
They're almost giving them away.
No question about it. It's a great time to buy a vehicle, but if you folks need food more, you make sure you feed your family first before you go out and throw money away.
Transportation to go get the food, so the car is more important than the food.
But again, there'll be a lot of cars.
Hey,
that's going to
speaking
help
of
the car sales, and that's very important.
Coming in today, the gas price I saw on Highway 231 at two places, $139.9.
I'm going to buy that today. Where's that located?
At the Jimmy Norman's station next to the Jabba, and then the Circle K or the big gas station right there where you turn to go to Sanders. $139.9. I never thought I would live to see that again.
Jimmy Norman, and of course, Jimmy's a dear friend of mine, and I've known him all my life. He's sort of my hero. He was one of the best baseball players that ever come
I've always heard
that.
It must be true.
Of course, he and your dad were good friends.
They were.
And of course, Jimmy is doing well.
Norman played the minor leagues for Chicago.
Yeah, he did. He played with the Cubs, and played in the pros. The guy that was playing ahead of him, Ken Hubbs, was later on killed in a plane crash or something. But Jimmy tore his shoulder up and couldn't play anymore. And of course, we had a guy, the recreation director, a long-time recreation director in Brundage, was also made it to AAA.
Hey, I heard you can tell me if this is true, completely off topic. I told you our family took a walk through the campus yesterday.
Yeah,
we walked around the lagoon.
Yeah.
And I told my little daughter, I said, I could take a shortcut and get to Sorrel Chapel. I'll just swim across this lagoon. And then I said, no. She said, don't do that. I said, no. And I said, I think one time I've heard that one person did drown in that lagoon, but I think I've heard that. Have you ever heard that?
Somebody committed suicide in that place before.
Really?
Yes. And the radio station used to be right there at the lagoon. And, Pappy Topper used to say, on the shores of the beautiful Lake Lagoon. And let me tell you a few other things about that. Of course, Jimmy Vance And
that's Stuart Steady.
Stuart Steady was a great DJ. Was on his way to big time, and of course he, got ill and died at an early age. But he was a wonderful DJ, and he had jet black hair, and he kicked it back, and had a great voice. And see, a lot of the people that worked for WTVL were college students, and that's how they got started. A lot of guys done very well over
their
the
launching pad was WTVL.
Exactly. And Jimmy Vance, of course, married
Betty.
Betty, and of course, Betty's brother Earl.
Well, that's where Stewart got his name. That's where Stewart got his name then, because back when he lived in Troy, he was Earl Vance.
That's
now,
right.
Now he changed his name later.
That's
well,
right.
he didn't change his name. I'm sure his real name is Stewart Earl Vance.
And of course, he was a great little baseball player, the catcher for the Red Sox. And
Betty's brother was?
Yeah, He was a great guy. Bobby Joe Ellsworth was that guy from Brundage.
Yeah.
Of course, he was a great pitcher and catcher, but he played. He caught in the pros and had a great arm. And Jimmy tells me this story, and I've heard it over and over for years. Is that one time they played a baseball game in the minor leagues that Jimmy Norman played on one team, and Bobby Joe Ellsworth played on the other team. There were 5 hits in the game, and Bobby Joe got 3 of them, and Jimmy got 2 of them.
All Pike
Isn't
County.
that amazing? Of course, Bobby Joe and them won the ball game, but that was something.
You could probably count the players that have, we've had one that made it to the major leagues, Brian Meadows. And then if we count the kid from Goshen, that's 2. But just
Wesley Wright.
Wesley Wright pitched for Goshen, so we got to count him because he pitched for Goshen High School, although he lived in Raymer, I think. I know Sam Drake played several years in the minor leagues.
There's been some good ones over the years.
We need to mention Willie Wright, my good friend Trey Wright, is leaving Pike County High School and is now going to become the city manager for the city of Brundage. So
now, is he the city manager or the assistant city manager? I want to say he's the assistant.
He's going to become the city manager. The city manager is retiring.
Which is a very good job.
Well, he's done a great job for all those years. He pretty much runs the city of Brundage. I mean, no offense to the mayor.
He runs the youth programs there too.
Yeah, no question about it. And
well, that's good news for
the guy.
Good choice for the city of Brundage, but I think he's done a great job at Pike County High School, so that's a loss for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the star basketball player at Pike County High School, I was going to mention the Barney kid is signed with Shelton State up in Tuscaloosa.
So he could be picked up early, don't you think?
Yeah, 6'8" basketball player will play 2 years, I guess, there, and then go maybe to an SEC school.
No question about it.
Good. There's no doubt he's got Division I talent. He must just need to work on his grades for a year or two, and I'm sure he will.
No question about it. I hope everybody's doing well this morning, and as we gave you the stats, it surprised me that yesterday the count went to 2,400 in one day in the country. 2,400.
Well, there's outbreaks in these nursing homes is one area that has just been devastated. There's one nursing home somewhere that staff and residents
40-something people.
100.
Oh, really? That many?
So nursing homes are scary right now.
Bay County, Dad, where you have a second home, only has 8 cases, so maybe you should just come down to Bay County.
Well, I'm leaving to
go. Bay County only has 8.
I'm leaving to go down there this morning.
And you said your county only has like 30-something, right?
Yeah.
29 or 30, yeah.
2 big beach counties where all the spring breakers came, and they have just almost no cases. It's interesting.
This information comes to us on the 16th, which is today. 28,554 deaths attributed to the virus.
You got to remember that's out of 350 people.
I know, you're right. You're exactly right. You look at New York, and if New York...
It's starting to get hit pretty hard as Great Britain.
Yeah, I know, and I hate it. They're a strong ally. I've been a little bit concerned about the military here, and I've got a couple of figures to show you this morning about how the military has fared with this situation. If I can sit here and find it, and I don't know if I can or not, but it is information.
No, I've been reading on previous viruses, and I was not educated enough on how bad the Spanish flu of 1917-18 was. It killed 600,000 Americans when the population of America was 1/3 of what it is today. But you know how that got started? It didn't start in Spain, they believe, and that started in America, in Kansas, and it started spreading at Fort Riley, Camp Riley, a big military base in Kansas, and all the soldiers living in those barracks, they all suddenly got it. And then those soldiers transferred to other military bases, and some of them went over to Europe to fight the end of World War I. And that's the origins of that terrible...
75 million people.
Worldwide. 675,000 in America lost their lives. Yeah. So the Spanish flu was by magnitudes much, 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 much worse than this coronavirus.
The total number of cases in our military are 4,766. 17 of our military have died from the virus, and of course active cases are 4,011. But let me just say this, and we talked about this yesterday. Why don't we use some good sense about things? Why in the world do you stop a big aircraft carrier in Vietnam and let them off for the weekend and have a good time?
So they did.
And that happened. One of the ships had stopped in Vietnam, and a lot of those guys brought the virus on board.
Well, yeah, the two aircraft carriers now have been seeing huge numbers of cases on. It's just like the cruise ships. I mean, that's the worst place you could be, is on a confined big ship.
Well, right now, I would think that'd be the worst. I hate to say that because it's a fun thing for a lot of people, but that's one thing I don't think people are going to jump all over. Is going on
you talk about recovery. I mean, who is going to be taking a cruise in the next couple of years?
The president or wherever.
How can you ever go to a casino again? I mean, are they going to wipe down your chips?
Yeah, well. All right, let me ask you this. Max, you still on? People are saying to pay for things with your credit card so you don't have to touch money. Man, I hope it never gets so bad we can't touch money.
I am so afraid of this ban cash movement, which people want to do. And once the government makes you keep all your money in a bank account that they can get, you can forget the concept of liberty and freedom. But there is a movement around the world to ban all cash.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, everybody out there, you watch that, and if they try to do it, don't let them do it, please.
Another thing that they're talking about now is shoes. Hey, what do? You wash your shoes off before you go into the house, or they say that you can bring it in with your shoes. Have you heard that?
See, I think there's 1,000 things, Mike.
Yeah, I know it exactly.
That's what I'm thinking about, the long-range, rehabilitation of this country. Yeah. And it's all going to start with economics, because this country's, under the capitalistic system, has been so successful. And there's a movement out there, you guys know that, in some levels where they will take it down.
Well, you think, Max, this government, between the Fed and our government, has spent at least $6 trillion in the last 2 months. The budget of the U.S. government is only $4 or $5 million, so they've doubled the budget of the United, and they've just created that money out of thin air.
Wait a minute now. You talking about million or billion?
Trillion.
Trillion. Oh, you said trillion.
$1 trillion is what's been created by the Fed and the government to fund all these bailout programs. The government didn't have $6 trillion sitting around in a safe or a bank account. All that money was just conjured up out of thin air.
But if they want to make more money, they could, though, couldn't they?
Well, they just conjure up more of it.
Yeah.
And then they have to keep interest rates zero because they are issuing bonds, and the Fed is buying all the bonds, but the interest rate on all this trillions of dollars they're creating is 0%. So at least when they have to pay it back, they're paying zero interest, which you contrast that to the interest I'm paying on my credit cards. the government and the big bankers pay 0 to 1%, and Bill Rice Jr. pays 20%.
Oh boy.
29%.
Yeah, right.
Looking at Guam, that's where our big naval bases are located, and Air Force bases too, in the island of Guam. They have just 135 cases and 5 deaths. So that tells you somebody's doing something, because that's where most of your military is down in that part of the country.
I still think that there's something to the higher temperatures and the warmer weather is going to help us out. So I think you're in the Caribbean nations, you're seeing hardly any cases. Playing baseball in Arizona and Florida makes sense if you want to be out in the sunshine. And
moving Major League Baseball to the Dominican.
Well, you're exactly right. And these teams, these
yeah, for half the players.
A lot of guys will be playing in their hometowns finally.
Yeah, no question about it. I was looking at the world, the United States, and looking at the states of, Arkansas. You take it for instance. They've had just 34 deaths and 1,056 cases. Arkansas is sort of mountainous.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of mountains in it, and Idaho the same way. But now Kansas, is a flat land, and they've got something like 1,178 cases. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed our show today. We're up here talking just like you're talking to your friends on the phone or whatever. Please be careful. Please be responsible enough to buy yourself some of these very easy to put on. Well, let me see if I can get it over here now. Put it on mask. It's when you're going to the grocery store, when you're going to the drugstore, or going to the post office, or you're going to buy gas. Also, make sure you got rubber gloves on, and you wash your hands over and over and over. We can help, and evidently, without this right here, you're putting yourself at risk, and your friend's self at risk.
There's a little air pocket in where your mouth is, so you got a little. It's not so firm against your mouth.
And it is very comfortable, and of course, they've got several people out there. We recognize Don Walker's Western wear.
Yeah, I want to see those.
Them.
Yeah.
And and they're supposed to be real unique and nice and whatever. But find you some face masks and wear them, and put them on your children when you go out. Now, you were out at the university, but you weren't close to people.
No, we kept our distance from people. Yeah.
And it's really nice walk, wasn't it?
Oh, beautiful! If anybody wants to take a beautiful walk, start at the amphitheater, walk down by the Terracotta Warriors, go by down to the lagoon, loop back by Sorrel Chapel, and cut behind the library, and end up on the quad by the fountains. If you got kids, my kids had so much fun on that little walk.
Yeah.
About an hour to do it.
No question about it. Bill Rice will be right here where I'm sitting tomorrow. I'll be at another place calling in, as will be Mike Amos. All right, Max, we love you, man. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, guys. Always certainly enjoyed it. I hope.
Well, Max, before we leave, Max, what's for dinner?
Oh man, you know what? This is individual takeout right there, Mike.
Exactly.
I'm not looking for anybody whatsoever. Listen, I was going to interrupt y'all's conversation, but I go. Michael said he gained 15 pounds. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be two kind of people come out of this. Those with the eating problem and those with the drinking problem.
Yeah, you're right.
Drinking back and sitting at home.
You're exactly right.
We're going to flag that right now to your individual favorite. One of these days I'm going to come out with my last cookbook, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll try to work on it.
Well, you know what? You have to tell your friends the kitchen is closed until further notice.
Absolutely is.
Hey, I tell you what, we appreciate you so very much. You stay well, and hey, put that mask on, Max.
I'll do that, guys. You guys have a good
All right,
week.
take
See
care,
you, Max.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. We'll come back on today at 1:30. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early for Today in L.A. featuring Bill Rice Jr.
And you too.